Before that, I would begin with a very short kirtan. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Gandharvika Giridhari Gandharvika Giridhari Gaurahari Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Gurudev 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol 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 Shri Gandharika Giridhari Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. I would thank all our senior Vaishnavas for giving me this wonderful opportunity for sharing some points on today's verse. And I'm doing this for my own purification. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, Dhritarashtra quits home, text number 52. Shrotobe Saptabirya Vai Svardhuni Saptadapyadat Saptanam Prityaye Nana Sapta Shrotaha Prachakshate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The place is called Saptashrota, divided by 7, because there the waters of the sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great rishis. So we will move on to the next verse, as there is no purport by Srila Prabhupada. So 53rd verse. Snatvanu savanam tasmin hutva chagnin yata vidhi abhakta upasantatma sa aste vigatai sanaha. Translation. On the banks at Saptasrota, Dhritarashtra is now engaged in beginning Ashtanga Yoga by bathing 3 times daily in the morning, noon and evening, by performing the Agnihotra sacrifice with fire and by drinking only water. This helps one control the mind and the senses and frees one complete from thoughts of feminine affection. Purport. The yoga system is a mechanical way to control the senses and the mind and divert them from matter to spirit. The preliminary processes are the sitting posture, meditation, spiritual thoughts, manipulation of air passing within the body, and gradual situation in trance, facing the absolute person, Paramatma. Such mechanical ways of raising to the spiritual platform prescribe some regulatory principles of taking bath daily 3 times, fasting as far as possible, sitting and concentrating the mind on spiritual matters, and thus gradually becoming free from Vishaya or material objectives. Material existence means to be absorbed in the material objective, which is simply illusory. House, country, family, society, children, property, and business are some of the material coverings of the spirit, Atma, and the yoga system helps one to become free from all these illusory thoughts and gradually turn towards the absolute person, Paramatma. By material association education, we learn simply to concentrate on flimsy things, but yoga is the process of forgetting them altogether. Modern so-called yogis and yoga systems manifest some magical feats, and ignorant persons are attached by such false things, or they accept the yoga system as a cheap healing process for diseases of the gross body. But factually, the yoga system is a process of learning to forget what we have acquired throughout the struggle of existence. Dhritarashtra was all along engaged in improving family affairs by raising the standard of living of his sons or by usurping the property of the Pandavas for the sake of his own sons. These are common affairs for a man grossly materialistic and without knowledge of the spiritual force. He does not see how this can drag one from heaven to hell. By the grace of his younger brother Vidura, Dhritarashtra was enlightened and could see his grossly illusory engagements, and by such enlightenment he was able to leave home for spiritual realization. Sri Narada Deva was such foretelling the way of his spiritual progress in a place which was sanctified by the flow of the celestial Ganges. Drinking water only without solid food is also considered fasting. This is necessary for advancement of spiritual knowledge. A foolish man wants to be a cheap yogi without observing the regulative principles. A man who has no control over the tongue at first can hardly become a yogi. Yogi and bogi are two opposite terms. The bogi, or the merry man who eats and drinks, cannot be a yogi, for a yogi is never allowed to eat and drink unrestrictedly. We may note with profit how Dhritarashtra began his yoga system by drinking water only and sitting calmly in a place with a spiritual atmosphere, deeply absorbed in the thoughts of Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead. Om Agnana Timarandasya Gnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Datati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Patita Pavana Guru Maharaj Ki Jai Hare Krishna. So we are in Srimad Bhagavatam, 13th chapter, first canto, 52nd, 53rd. So now we are in a context wherein Narada Muni is coming to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj. And this is the third attempt to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj. The first one being Krishna personally trying to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? And and Krishna himself was not able to pacify him. And there, after that, there were many sages like Vyasadeva and others who tried to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj, but they were also not successful. Why? Because it was all the arrangement of Lord Krishna. Because he wanted he had plans to glorify his devotee Bhishma. So that was the first time when Bhishma was a counselor to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Now, again, Yudhishthira Maharaj is afflicted. He is in trouble. And he now needs help. So, Narada Muni comes and gives his kind association to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So, in this shloka here, the future is being explained. What is that? Where Dhritarashtra is going to a place called Swadoni, which is on the banks of the river Ganges. And the Ganges, the Ganga herself, she has distributed into 7 tributaries. Why? Just to please the 7 rishis, so that they do not have any problems of space constraints, and also problems amongst themselves. So she divides herself into 7 tributaries. So this place is called the Sapta Shrota. And this place still exists in Uttarakhand. Sometimes, if you're fortunate enough, we shall go on a yatra to this place. Yeah. So further, it says that what Dhritarashtra is going to this place. What is he going to do there? So he is going to practice Ashtanga Yoga system, right? So as the Supreme Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he has spoken in the 5th chapter, Karma Yoga part of it. Krishna is very nicely spoken about to Arjuna about the Ashtanga Yoga system. And Krishna says that it has 2 levels. That is Yoga Arupruksha, that is the beginning stage of Ashtanga Yoga system. And final stage, and it is the advanced stage, I can say. It is called Yoga Aruda stage. So, and it has 8 limbs. This Ashtanga Yoga, it has 8 limbs. What are those? Yama. First beginning with Yama, that is do's, don'ts. That is rules and regulations and prohibitions, what they have to do. And do's, what they have to do. Then rules or prescriptions. Then asana, the bodily exercises, what they have to do while practicing Ashtanga Yoga system. Then pranayama, so breathing exercises, to control his mind, how to keep the breathing. Then pratyahara, withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. Then dharana, then fixing the mind on the Lord's form. Then dhyana, intensified meditation on the Lord. Then finally, samadhi, so complete absorption or trance it is called. So these are the limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, person who wants to practice Ashtanga Yoga. So here it is said, sa aste vigate sanaha. So without any other thoughts except meditating on the Supreme Lord. Now, a little bit of background as to why this practice is bona fide. Because this practice is given by the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. He has spoken the whole procedure of this Vanaprastha, and how when he leaves and what leaves the home and what after going to the forest, what he has to do. The person practicing this Ashtanga Yoga. And very beautifully, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Lord Krishna has spoken in the 11th canto, 18th chapter, verse 1 onwards. So Krishna says that one who desires to adopt this 3rd order of life, that is Vanaprastha, should enter the forest with a peaceful mind. So he has an option. So whether he can either take his wife along with him, or he can leave her in the care of one of his matured sons. So Krishna says like that. So next Krishna says that having adopted the Vanaprastha order of life, one should arrange one's sustenance by eating only uncontaminated bulbs, roots, fruits that grow in the forest. So one may dress oneself with tree barks, then huge leaves which are available in the forest, and also animal skin. Probably when animal is dead, either deer skin, tiger skin. So thus kind of, he can use those skin to wrap their body. Unlike how we wrap our body with expensive clothes, it's not allowed, Krishna says. So not only that, a Vanaprastha, it's very interesting. A Vanaprastha should not groom his hair, right, on his head. right? Or a body or face. Should not manicure his nails, should not take care of nails when he's grown. What we do, we clip the nails, we keep it nice shaped and all that. But a vanaprastha person should not do all that. And also, he should not pass stools, and urine at irregular times, and should not make special endeavor for dental hygiene. He should be content to take bath 3 times daily and should sleep on the ground. Further, Krishna says, one should execute penance. Thus, engaged as a vanaprastha, one should execute penance during the hottest summer days. It's not that he goes take shelter somewhere when it is burning hot. No. During the rainy season, one should remain outside, not take any shelter, remain outside. He should subject himself to the torrential rain. And in the freezing winter, one should remain submerged in water up to one's neck. Okay. So further Krishna says that one may eat foodstuffs prepared with fire, such as grains or foods ripened by time. One may grind one's food with mortar and stone, or not with one's teeth. So these are the things Sri Bhagavan Vacha Krishna says in the 11th canto. So, but of course, if the vanaprastha is overtaken by old age, like now we can see in the case of Dhritarashtra, what he can do, and because of his trembling body, and he is no longer able to perform his prescribed duties as a vanaprastha, he should place the sacrificial fire within his heart by meditation, then fixing his mind on Krishna, he should enter the fire, giving up his body. So this is what Dhritarashtra is going to do in the future, and future speakers will reveal that. So another option is sannyas order, which can be taken up only after sufficient detachment. After one has developed sufficient detachment. And how does detachment develops? With the process of tapasya. So this is basically the situation which Dhritarashtra is going to undergo on the Shastric, based on the Shastric injunctions. Now we shall discuss about tapasya, because in vanaprastha life, the whole crux is about tapasya, practicing tapasya. And what does this tapasya mean? So Srila Prabhupada is giving a wonderful definition of what is tapasya. Means voluntarily acceptance of bodily pain to achieve something higher. This is a definition given by Srila Prabhupada. So we are anyway suffering in this material world with the 4 things. What is that? Birth, death, old age, disease. We are suffering with that. So why not suffer for Krishna? And everyone is unhappy anyways in this, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita again, Dukhalayam. This material world is Dukhalayam. So if you just choose to be unhappy for the purpose of pleasing Krishna, that is known as tapasya. So now the question is there a need for doing tapasya? Why should one do this tapasya? So we may think, without tapasya, my life is fine. Why should I do that? So in 3rd canto, 12th chapter, text number 19, Lord Brahma is saying, says the need of tapasya. He's saying, tapasyaiva param jyotir bhagavatam adoksajam sarvabhuta guhavasam anjasa vindate pumam. So by penance only, one can even approach the personality of God, who is within the heart of every living entity, and at the same time beyond the reach of all the senses. Again in Bhagavad Gita 8.28, Krishna says, Vedesu yajneshu tapassu chaiva dhaneshu ya punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvam idam viditva yoga param sthanam upaiti chadhyam. So the translation, it says, a person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. simply by performing devotional service, attains all this. And at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So, thus the Shastras are talking about both sides. You should do tapasya, and again, we should not do tapasya. So, what to do? So, bhakti itself is not bound by any externals like penances or tapasya as such. At the same time, there is bhakti anukul tapasya, which we as bhaktas has to do, which means tapasya in Krishna consciousness has to be done, which is anukul for bhakti, which is favorable for bhakti. So in text in Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, 18th chapter 4. So again, as I told, so much of tapasya one has to do. But now in this age of Kali Yuga, it is not possible. So we don't have all that facility to do vanaprastha, going to a forest, living there. First of all, there are no forests. In a few years, the forest will never be there. All cut down trees. So in Kali Yuga, we can do 4 things. Just to follow the 4 regulative principles, right? No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. So this itself is a great tapasya for people of Kali Yuga. That itself we are not able to do because people of Kali Yuga are so degraded. Example, we can give Ekadasi. Ekadasi again is a very simple tapasya. Even that is difficult to follow because of our limited capacity. So what are we supposed to do in a process of bhakti? You simply keep the instructions of Lord Krishna and the Guru in the center. This is tapasya we can do. Not being independent, right, of what Lord Krishna and Guru wants us to do. Yeah. So, in a simple term, bhakti, anukul tapasya, means follow the instructions of Lord and his representatives. So, some of the example of Shastric examples of tapasya is, we all know that the whole cosmos, it began with word tapa, right? And the first person of this material world, he also practiced tapasya for a very long time, and that is Lord Brahma. And his 4, even if his 4 sons, Kumaras, they are known for tapassis, and even his second son, Rudra, was advised to do tapasya. And we also know Narada Muni, in the first canto beginning, we saw Narada Muni as a small boy was doing tapasya from 5-year-old till he left his body. Then we saw Parikshit Maharaj, because of whom we have got Bhagavatam today. Parikshit Maharaj did tapasya for 7 days, 7 nights, no eating, no sleeping, right? Then we saw Gardama Muni in 3rd canto did tapasya, that Bhagavan came personally. So he shed tears in his tapasya, and that is called Bindu Sarovar. Then Devahuti also performed tapasya, Dhruva Maharaj for 6 months. Then Lord appeared in front of Dhruva Maharaj. Then Prachetas performed tapasya inside the water. So here we can see Vidura has come to shake Dhritarashtra, saying, you get out of this place, by hearing the whole pastimes of Prachina Barishat. In 5th canto, Bharata Maharaj leaving everything and going to do tapasya. Then we saw Daksha Prajapati is doing tapasya. In 7th canto, Hiranyakashipu, he is standing on his tip of the toe for 10,000 years and doing tapasya. We are not able to stand even for 30 seconds on the tip of the toe. But Hiranyakashipu stood for 10,000 years and did tapasya. So here we should understand which tapasya is favorable and which is not. Right? And Krishna is giving this very beautifully in the 17th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Tapasya in 3 modes. So, Krishna says in 17.19, he says, penances performed, I will not read the shloka because it will take a long time. I'll read only translation. Penances performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is said to be in the mode of ignorance, tapasya in mode of ignorance. And I just gave the example, Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu is doing tapasya 10,000 years simply to kill Vishnu and trouble the Brahmanas. This is called tapasya in the mode of ignorance. Then in 17.18, Krishna says, Penance performed out of pride for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship, right, is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. So here we can give some examples of Dhruva Maharaj, Daksha Prajapati, what they did penance for something in return. That is called the tapasya in mode of passion, right? What is the best thing to do? Krishna says in 17.17 Bhagavad Gita, this threefold austerity performed with transcendental faith by men, not expecting material benefits, what engaged only for the sake of supreme is called austerity in goodness. So, a very example is our acharyas. Raghunath Das Goswami, he used to only take 3 drops of buttermilk, that too once in 3 days, right? And after that, he is cursing himself, saying that I am such a sense gratifier. Just imagine, right? Then our very own, all Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they were staying under a tree. It's not that they're staying under the tree, same tree every day. They are moving from tree to tree. Why? Because they didn't want to get attachment to a same tree. And, and they used to sleep just for 1.5 hours. And after that, they used to write. So then our Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami, Prabhupada. So he performed tapasya for 9 long years, chanting 1 billion names of the Supreme Lord. And of course, our Srila Prabhupada, right? Without Srila Prabhupada, I wouldn't have been here speaking a little bit about Srimad Bhagavatam, right? We all wouldn't have been here, right? At least in my case, I would have been rotting somewhere in my, in sense gratification or something like that. So much of tapasya, our Srila Gurudev, Jayapataka Swami Gurudev, all the exalted Vaishnavas, all the Maharajas in our parampara, they have done so much of tapasya for all of us to benefit, right? Even staying in Vrindavan is itself a tapasya because of the climatic conditions there currently. So much heat, extreme cold. So that is also being there and living in meager facilities. That's also tapasya. Now, next we'll move on to a point where what is the benefit of performing tapasya? So by doing tapasya, what we do? We become free from sense gratification. What is that? The very concept of my very identification is that I am this body, which will be reduced by doing tapasya. Then further, it reduces the necessities of body and will get more time for serving Guru and Krishna. If you don't perform tapasya, then so much time goes waste simply by serving the senses. So this is a very important point. And we are able to actualize the goal of our life, that is going back home, back to God. So now what is the philosophy behind performing tapasya? If by default, everybody in this material world wants to do sense gratification, and myself, even before coming to Krishna consciousness, I didn't know of the word, what is this sense gratification? Though I was doing so much of sense gratification, I didn't know what is sense gratification. So where does it begin, this sense gratification? Because of material desire. Now, what is the problem if one has material desire? First of all, it is short-lived, temporary, and it simply creates mental and physical agitation. It entangles us into birth, death, old age, and disease. The whole cycle, which is endless, and we just live in this gratification of senses. And the more we give, it will demand more. We are never satisfied. And because of this, it hampers our self-realization, which you are actually looking for. So anything we do in this material world, it has 3 characteristics. What is that? It is changeable and perishable, right? Nothing is permanent, it is perishable and it keeps changing. And it is dual in nature, meaning to say, it needs some material maintenance, it requires repair. Beginning, it will give pain and also it gives pleasure. For example, you take your iPhone. When you buy an iPhone, you're so happy. It gives so much happiness. I own an iPhone, which is almost 1 lakh or so. But does it remain the same throughout? No, sometimes you have to, service it. Sometimes you have to repair it. So it's all painful, right? So it is dual in nature, this material world. And it also relative. So anything I have, I always want something better around. I don't have always the best with me, right? Today we'll buy one car, very happy with it, but tomorrow you see a neighbor's car, oh, that is more better. So this is how the material world is relative. So yesterday, in fact, we heard a class from His Grace Brajmohan Prabhu, a very senior disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He was given an exam explaining how each of the vowel in English, A, E, I, O, U, most of you must be knowing, vowel which adds, and if you add D to it, explains how this material world is. So beautifully he said. So he said, if you add D to A, first vowel A, it is Dakalayam, right? Then E and I, if you add, it is Dikalayam. If you add D to E and I vowel, it becomes Dikalayam, only Dikava only. This whole world is, material world is Dikava. Then if you add D to O, then it becomes Dhokalayam, right? It's full of Dhoka. Then if you add D to U, it becomes Dukhalayam, right? So, but Krishna is not changeable. Krishna is not perishable. Krishna is not dual or relative. He is absolute. So, the real happiness is in Krishna consciousness. So, what we have to do is we have to engage ourselves in Krishna conscious activities. Yet, the material desires will keep troubling us. How? Because if you love a material object, then Krishna is out. If Krishna is in our heart, then the material objects will be out. This is the solution. Yeah. And we are able to see impurities in this world because impurities are filled in our heart. So what the solution is? If the heart is with Krishna, if heart is cleansed, then there will be no impurities outside, right? So the solution is simple. Just engage ourselves in Krishna's service. That will relieve us from sense gratification, for which tapa is needed to remove our material desires. I can give an example, to quote an example here. If one has fever, he has to take medicine. Although it is troubling him, only then he'll be cured. Though a child, for example, will, when given an injection, he'll cry. But when we grow up, we don't cry because we understand its value, right? Why we take injection? So when we start doing tapasya, when we understand the value of what we are going to get, then this process becomes very beautiful. So tapasya means, in short, saying yes to Krishna and no to Maya. But however, our mind is so tricky, it keeps tricking us, it keeps saying no to Krishna and yes to Maya. So what is to be done to that? So just accept things which are favorable for Krishna's service with great bliss and reject things which are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness with great disgust. This is called tapasya. In the beginning, right, it will be very tough. Eventually, it becomes enjoyable and you'll experience higher taste. So, intelligent people, and I'll take another 2 minutes. Intelligent people will never shun tapasya. Only coward people will run away from tapasya. So, to conclude, you say that you just have to follow the instructions of spiritual master, that is tapasya. We should do it with great enthusiasm. And ultimately, we can practice devotional service nicely with enthusiasm. So in Kali Yuga, the most easiest process given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is tapasya, is that, or than all other yugas, is just chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So with this, we can attain perfection in our lives. So I'd like to stop here. Thank you all very much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Patita Pavana Gurudev ki jai. Hare Krishna.